poem we are going to read today is called Jacob, and it's by Maria Campbell. Maria Campbell is a Métis woman who was born in 1940. She writes in this interesting way where she tells a story through a long ballad poem. The other thing that she does that is interesting, and you'll have to excuse my pronunciation because of it, is she writes specifically so that you will speak using an accent. So please bear with me as we read the poem Jacob. Mr. Putch, he was my grandmother. He come from Muskeg. That was before he was a reservation. My grandmother, he was about 28 when he married my grandfather. That was real old for a woman to marry in dem days. But he was an Indian doctor. I guess that's why he wait so long. Ooh, he was a good doctor too. All the peoples, they say that about him. He doctor everybody that come to him, and he birth all the babies too. Just about everybody my age, my grandmother, he birthed them. He married my grandfather around 1890. That old man, he come to him for doctoring, and when he get better, he never leave him again. They get married the Indian way, and after that, my grandfather, he help with all his doctoring. That's the way he used to be a long time ago. If the woman he work, then the man he help him, and if the man he work, the woman he help. You never heard peoples fighting over whose job he was. They all know what they got to do to stay alive. My grandfather, his name was Canap, but the white mans, they call him Jimboy. So his Indian name, he gets lost. That's why we don't know who his peoples they are. We lost lots of our relations like that. They get the white man's name, then nobody he knows who his peoples they are anymore. Sometimes I think that's the reason why we have such a hard time as peoples. Our roots, they get broken so many times. He's hard to be strong, when you don't got far to look back for help. The white man's, he can look back thousands of years, 'cause he write everything down. But us peoples, we used to remembering, and we pass it on by telling stories and singing songs. Sometimes we even dance to remembering. But all this trouble, he start after we get the new names, 'cause with the new names, he come a new language and a new way of living. Once, a long time ago, I could have told you the story of my grandfather Canap and all his peoples, but no more. All I can tell you now is about Jimboy, and his story, he's not very old. Well, my grandmother, Mr. Putch, he never get a white man's name in him. He knowed lots of stories. That old lady, he even knowed the songs. He used to tell me one about an old man called Jacob. That old man, he don't live too far from here. Well, he's gone now. But this, he was about him when he was alive. Jacob him, he gets one of them new names when they put him into residential school. He was just a small boy when he go, and he don't come home for 12 years. 12 years! That's a long time to be gone from your peoples. He can come home, 'cause the school, he was down near 200 miles away. His mommy and daddy, they go and see him, and there's no roads in those days. And the Indians, they don't got many horses, especially to travel that far. That's true, Not many peoples in them days have horses. It's only in the comic books and the pictures shows they got lots of horses. He was never like that in the real life. Well, Jacob he stay in that school all them years, and when he come home, he was a man. While he was gone, his mommy and daddy, they die, so he got nobody. And on top of that, nobody he knowed him, 'cause he got a new name. My grandmother, he say that old man, he have a hell of a time. Nobody can understand that unless he happened to him. Them peoples that go away to them schools and come back, they really suffer. No matter how many stories we tell, we'll never be able to tell what them schools done to them people and all their relations. Well, anyways, Jacob, he was just plain pitiful. He can talk his own language. He don't know how to live in the bush. It's a good thing the peoples, they was kind, 'cause they help him the very best they can. Well, a couple summers later, he meets this girl, and they gets married. That girl was kind. and real smart too. He teach Jacob how to make an Indian living. They have a good life together, and after a few years they have a boy. Not long after that, they raised 2 little girls, and that was orphans. Jacob and his wife, they was good peoples, both of them was hardworking, and all the peoples, they respect them, and they come to Jacob for advice. But the good times, they was too good to last, 'cause one day, the priests, they come to the village with the policemen. They come to take the kids to the school. When they get to Jacob, his house, they tell them they can take his kids. The priest, he tell him he have to let them go, 'cause that's the law. Well, the priest, he have a big book, and that book, he got the names of all the kids who they belongs to. He opened that book and asked Jacob for his name, and then he look it up. Jacob, he say, you know better, you went to the school, and you know the education he's important. My grandmother, Mr. Pooch, he say Jacob, he tell that priest, yes, I go to the school, and that's why I don't want my kids to go. All there is in that place is suffering. The priest, he wasn't happy about that, and he say to Jacob, but the peoples, they have to suffer, Jacob, 'cause the Jesus, he suffer. But the Jesus, he never lose his language and his people, Jacob tell him. He stay home in his own land, and he do his suffering. Well, the priest, he gets mad, and he tells him it's a sin to think like that, and he's gonna end up in purgatory for them kind of words. But Jacob don't care, 'cause as far as he's concerned, purgatory, he can be worse than hell if he live with trying to learn his language and his Indian ways. He tells that priest he don't even know who his people they are. That Jesus he knowed his mommy and daddy, Jacob, he tell him, and he always knowed who his people they are. Well, the priest, he tells him if he wants to know who his people they are, he can tell them that. And he opened in the book again. Your dad, his Indian name was Alchak, the priest, he say. I think that means star in your language. He never gets a new name 'cause he never become a Christian. Jacob, he tell my grandmother that when the priest, he says his name, his wife, he starts to cry real hard. Jacob, someday you'll thank God we done this, the priest, he tell him. And they start loading up the kids on the big wagons. All the kids, they was crying and screaming, and the mothers, they was chasing the wagons. And the old women, they was singing the death song, and none of the mans, they can do anything. They can't, 'cause the policemen, they got guns. When the wagons, they was all gone, Jacob, he look for his wife, but he can find him no place. An old woman say he see him and call to him, Pay Happy Newsome. Come and sit down, my grandchild. I must talk to you. He's hard for me to tell you this, but that priest, his book, he brings us bad news today. He tell you that Alchuk, he was your daddy. My grandchild, Alchuk, he was your wife's daddy too. Jacob, he tell my grandmother he can cry when he hear that. He can even hurt inside. That night he go looking, and he find his wife in the bush. That woman, he kill himself. Jacob, he say the old womans, they stay with him for a long time, and they sing healing songs, and they try to help him. But he say he can feel nothing. Maybe if he did, he would have done the same thing. For many years, Jacob, he was like that, just dead inside. The people, they tried to talk with him, but it was no use. His kids, they growed up, and they come home and live with him. I made them suffer, he tell my grandmother. Them kids, they try so hard to help me. Then one day, his daughter get married, and he have a baby. He bring it to Jacob to see. Jacob, he say, he look at that little baby, and he start to cry, and he can't stop. He say he cry for himself and his wife, and then he cry for his mommy and daddy, and when he was done, he sing the healing song. The old women, they sing to him a long time. Well, you know, Jacob, he died when he was an old man, and all his life he write in a big book the Indian names of all the mummies and daddies, and beside him he write the old names and the new names of all their kids. And for the rest of his life, he fight the government to build schools on the reservation. The good God, he wouldn't have make babies come from mommies and daddies. He used to say if he didn't want them to stay home and learn their language and their Indian ways. You know, that old man was right. Nobody he can do that. Take all the babies away. He's just not right. Long time ago, the old peoples, they used to do the naming and they do the teaching too. If the parents, they have troubles, then the aunties and the uncles or somebody in the family, he help out till the parents, they get their life work out. But no one, he ever take the babies away from their peoples. You know, my old grandmother, Mr. Putch, he have lots of memories about people like Jacob, good old people that work hard, so things will be better for us. We should never forget them old peoples. All right, take some time now to complete the questions that go along with the poem Jacob.